up, everybody? My name is Ibram, and welcome to What the Tech podcast. I'm here with your hosts, Kamu and Pretty, and today we're here with another episode, But before we get into the gist of everything, we got a little surprise on the way, just trying to hint out something, big news, and actually, you're going to see all that news coming through from our social media platforms. And you might also see it from a company's social media platform too. I'm already giving another hint, But other than that, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I've been well fed, and I think, it's only right that I'm the most confident ever right now in this day today.
Yeah. After eating, we literally stopped by McDonald's, but it's fine. But it's fine. And you come, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You?
Cool. Hey, I'm happy the block has ended. I'm happy that the block has ended. I'm
It's
happy.
been a very long but short block. If
I don't really care about academics, guys.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, you guys probably don't
This is
care.
an escape
But
right now.
yeah, this is our escape right now. But other than that, we're here with another episode to give you guys an update on what's currently going on in the tech society or tech space. A prominent word that has come up, and it's something that even Kamu mentioned in a video he dropped, is vibe coding. And it's such a funny word, like even the way it came about, who it came from, and the context behind it is like really, really funny. But I wanted to find out from you guys, do you know what vibe coding is?
I was hoping you could tell us.
Oh my
Yeah.
days, guys. But okay. You know what? Like according to Wikipedia, I'm joking. But essentially vibe coding is just being totally dependent on AI. I think that's the best way to like summarize it, right? And it's a thing of you just chill and you just let AI do the job. Well, you prompting it to do the job, but you're not like using logic while coding.
So like vibe coding is not coding for fun. It's
It's not coding with vibes. It's just coding without knowledge, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe it's a thing of like you don't need to know how to
The finer details.
yeah, the finer details of things. You can just be like, okay, chat, please create a form for me. It creates a form. Please put CS here and there, like beautify it, does that. You don't even know what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff. You don't even know maybe the what you call those things, like the flaws behind the system from the whole vibe coding experience. And yeah, man, it's something that I saw is really buzzing because a lot of people are now talking about it. And something that a lot of people do say is that they just use it for quick prototyping, or they use it like when they're just trying to like test out a theory that they have, or maybe they're also trying to use it just for fun, for the fun of it, like you're bored and you want to play with tech. But then a tweet went out actually, and um we'll probably leave a link on it. But someone was actually complaining. They actually created like a full CAS business or whatever.
CAS, what's that?
I think it's what, software as a service.
Oh, SAS.
Yeah,
SAS.
SaaS.
Okay.
So they created that, and basically what happened from there was that
As using vibe coding, they
using vibe.
sounds about right. Yeah.
And then what happened was that when he made that announcement, he made money from it. And when he made that announcement, your prominent hackers literally went to attack this system. And he complained that all his API calls, like requests, all of that, it was just flooded. They found loopholes because there was no security, there was no
Yeah.
proper security infrastructure. And maybe like that's probably the risk of vibe coding if you're trying to like utilize it as a business, like trying to make it create an idea of yours into a business idea because you don't necessarily fill in the nitty-gritty details of everything.
so like you don't approach your problem using like agile methods and stuff like that. You just
You just go to chat and be like,
like
hey,
big bang, just
you're like that day chat. I wanna create a blockchain tool or maybe an NFT or something,
yeah.
website, and people must be buying
And
things.
make it unique.
Make it unique, oh my days, make it unique. And then another thing is you'll be like, I bet, put like a payment gateway here, make it look nah. You don't even know the money won't even go into your account.
I mean, based on the description, I feel like I've been vibe coding since I got to university. All my assignments have really just been chat. Yeah, just vibes. Just vibe. I've got this far. So I mean, you did point out some flaws there in terms of security and all that, but I feel like there are some benefits to it, right?
Yeah, there is.
Like you said, prototyping, getting things done fast, right?
Yeah, I think like if you want to get, something that Lucky from BBD, he's actually our lecturer. Something that he talks about is one of the ways of like creating software. There's like this other development method. So there's waterfall, there's iterative and incremental, and then there's agile development. Um, Iterative and incremental and also agile, right? They just like you can create like a version, like a tiny version, and just build up on it. Like you just release it. So maybe vibe coding can be good to that extent, but when now you are going through like the development phase, and now you have to take into account of, for example, also user input. Imagine you ask someone to put a number instead of putting zero, they put O, and then your system at six accepts that. Those are like flaws that vibe coding does miss out, you know. But it's quite interesting because it actually shows you how much AI tools are being used right now and how far they're actually progressing. And what's so funny is that even Offizen, when they released their reports, they actually spoke about.
Let me just touch on what Offizen is in case they don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait. Hold on. We need to get our facts right. I don't want to be cancelled. So,
So are they like the ones that like release the salary?
Yeah, so every year Offizen has this like State of the Union address where they survey a bunch of developers in the country and then they compile those results into a nice, specifically South African developers, yeah.
so here it's saying that Offizen is South Africa's largest tech marketplace, and yeah, what they do is that it's a recruitment platform, but for tech people only. Yeah.
And do we know like if companies are like registered to this platform?
Oh yeah, a lot of companies. It's a big platform. It's been around for quite some time now. I think since 2012 or something like that. You can correct me, but yeah, it's a very big platform for developers to get jobs here.
Actually, like it's trusted by 2,000 companies from what I'm seeing here. Like Discovery, Jam, Bitway, DBT, Virgin Active, BBD, Intellect as well.
You for those sponsors, man. I'm gonna listen to this.
Oh yeah. But but basically, a report came out and Offizen actually, like as Kamu say, they do give information on how the current state of the tech space here
And how's it
is.
looking?
A bit shaky.
Bit shaky.
It's a bit shaky.
Am I gonna get a job? Am I?
We'll get into that.
All right.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
But something that the co-founder of Offizen did say, Philip Jobert. Jobert.
Afrikaans.
My bad.
Boer.
My bad. Why did he say that? He just pointed out that for developers, it's important to realize that applications to tech jobs have tripled in the past year. So that's a sign that competition is now high.
You know, what I've realized, especially on that point, is with the advent of AI tools, a lot of people are now using AI to apply to job applications for them. So I'm sure you've all heard the whole thing of tailoring your CV to the job application. You just don't submit the same CV for all jobs. You have to make sure that you meet the criteria, right? So what people have done now is they've built AI tools that basically create a new CV for you each time and apply to jobs for you like en masse. So you just do nothing. You give it basic information about yourself and it finds jobs for you. So really what's happening there, I feel like companies are getting flooded with a lot of low quality applications and they don't know how to filter through it, which is like, it's kind of discouraging because I don't know if you guys have tried to look at LinkedIn to apply for jobs or like apply for internships. It sometimes tells you how many applicants it's had, and you just feel like a statistic at that point. It's very demoralizing, right? And yeah, I don't know if you guys had the experience where you feel like, what am I even doing? Just a number at this point.
I have. It's very disheartening because a job would like come out and you're like, oh, 1 week or maybe a few days ago. And all of a sudden you see like 1,000, 2,000 people applying for that job, and you're just like,
It's the same thing for me. Like, especially right now when we're all like gunning for internships and stuff like that. And then you realize that it's like literally the link or the advertisement just came out like 4 hours ago and it's over like 100 applicants. Like, am I even gonna get it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you highlighted something, and I think that's something that was also touched in this report about as much as like people are also like applying for like jobs with like generic
Yeah.
CVs, almost everybody has the same skills now.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think, and you know, something that we also saw from like this from this report is that they even mentioned that interviews are becoming harder now. It's because everybody can learn how to code overnight.
Overnight's a bit of a stretch.
Overnight is a bit of a stretch,
Yeah.
but everybody can learn how to code. And also, I don't know, I feel like if they ask you to make a to-do list, how many people can do a to-do list through JavaScript?
ChatGPT can do it.
And ChatGPT can do it, right? But I think it's also a thing of something that was also highlighted more often is that AI tools are now becoming more of a thing of let's use it to like do the practical work. Then we human beings use that focus that we were supposed to use
To be more creative.
to be more creative and focus on.
Software.
I feel like, you know, I was thinking about this the other day, like with AI, like you kind of lose sense of originality. Like we're trying to come up with a name for our project and stuff like that. And we found it hard, you know, just to think like with our own brains, you know, and because the next course of action, like what everyone is thinking, and I know everyone in the room is thinking it, like let's just go to ChatGPT and say, give us the most unique name possible, you know, like they're definitely gonna name babies for us. I'm not gonna lie, even DeepSeek and all those other things.
There's actually a TikTok video of like a child who has a newborn baby, and it's like, what am I gonna name my child? Literally opens chat and says that I have a newborn baby.
It's bad. We're losing sense of originality. I feel like it has its advantages, obviously, you know, when it comes to bigger companies because they're able to like, I don't know, yeah. But when it comes to like students, it's because I was even thinking like, how was it before ChatGPT? How did people survive? How did people submit their assignments? Like all these kind of things, you know. I don't know, guys.
And that kind of ties back into the vibe coding thing, right? Where it's like you kind of get a general sense of what you want. You know the basics of maybe say HTML, CSS, and all that. So you tell it, okay, I want a website, and you must make the background red. So you kind of get a sense of what's happening. But if someone were to say, explain this code to me, you wouldn't really know where to start, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of robbing you of the learning process, right? Because you need to do the boring stuff in order to get good at the hard stuff. But right now with AI, it's kind of letting you, coast on the boring stuff, and that way you don't ever get to understanding the hard stuff. So you're kind of cheating yourself. But in the moment, it feels like a cheat code. Like, what, people aren't doing this. This is so cool. I'm doing this. Yeah.
Like when it comes to like the whole like hard stuff situation and stuff, you know, in companies when you start working for them, you have to, you know, work for clients, solve problems and stuff like that. Do you think that's gonna affect us, the people that love vibe coding or the people that just understand vibe coding?
Yeah, okay. Before we like get to that point, I think something that we can like agree on, or I would want us to like actually think about this. I think it differs for like per person to per person. Like it's a person to person base. What I mean is like you are much aware that there are AI tools, and it's either you can abuse it or you can abuse it, yeah, or you can actually see it as a tool, if that makes sense. What I mean by abusing it is, like you say, vibe coding, just full blown. But using it as a tool, and that's something that I just want us to like circle back on the whole idea of still using AI tools to do our stuff, but we can still be able to create things, if that makes sense, right? If you find yourself like in a position where you now have to start thinking, where you need ChatGPT to think about your assignment, for example, to help you solve like a whole assignment, then like you said, it takes away from the learning process, and that's going to hinder you in future.
Work environment.
Right? Because it's all fun and games for us to like use AI right now to like, for example, I have an MMM assignment that wants us to go through like an HIV case study. It's all fun and games to put that whole research paper and ask ChatGPT to redo everything for you. But the thing is that you are ripping yourself away from the long-term benefits of actually, like you say, doing the boring stuff. Vibe coding could be there just for a bit, in my opinion, right? But maybe it's just a high. I feel like everybody is currently on a high right now.
But how can we avoid it? Because this thing is like, when people are just given something for free to use, you know like, even if you try by all means just to focus on your research paper and stuff like that, and you know that the deadline is like tomorrow, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is like, how about I put on ChatGPT, then I ask it to explain for me. Cool, it explains for you, and then after that, like, but I still don't understand, why don't you just do it for me? And it's a mindset that almost all students have now. And how can people, like, counteract that? How can they, like, avoid that? That's the question.
I think one word, discipline. In my opinion, I feel like it's discipline because, like I said, if you really want to be that person that's in a workplace and just is totally dependent on AI, and by the way, like, AI is not a bad thing, but like I said, if you abuse it and you just like solely dependent, like when someone comes and asks you, like, yo, can you come and help me by the office, by my desk? I'm having a problem. Like maybe it's a semicolon. You'll just get that whole code. Okay, maybe you can use AI for that. But it's a thing of like you need to be able to also debug problems. You can't just be using AI to do that. And something that was even said, like there was a video I was watching, they say that good programmers are people who actually reduce the amount of code that they use. What chat does, chat just gives you a lot of code, and some of those things are probably unnecessary as well. But it's a thing of you can still use it as a tool, right? You just have to discipline yourself as to how you use it. So like, yeah, we're given the power of doing it. Well, we use free chat GPT. I know someone pays for it, so we don't know how much power he has. But it's a
lot of power.
but it's a thing of like we just need to have you just as a developer, if you want
As a
to
person, honestly.
oh as a
Discipline's
person,
everyone, you know?
yeah. And like you need to have that discipline, especially in this industry, because you can now see that everybody's now, I wouldn't want to say everybody is now rushing to software engineering and all of that, but more and more people are actually getting that skill, and you want to be the cream.
Yeah, and basically the market is saturated.
The market
You know,
is, yeah.
what you can do, I can do. Just like you say, like
Exactly.
ChatGPT. If you can search in ChatGPT, I can do that too. So what's your, I don't know if that's the word. What's your niche or something like?
Exactly.
What's something that
that
you
makes
can
you
do
yeah,
that
that
others can't actually do?
And now, if you're totally dependent on ChatGPT, how can you develop that? You know? So maybe that's where the discipline aspect comes. I might be wrong, but I feel like you need to discipline yourself in the way you use it, you know?
I mean, for me personally, it's always been a thing of because I'm a heavy user of ChatGPT. It's always open on my monitor. Whenever I'm sitting at my desk, ChatGPT is tabs open.
That's true. I've
Um,
by the way.
and the way I think about it is it's like what am I actually working on right now? Maybe I'll bring it back to academics. I know I said we don't want to talk about academics, but I feel like that's something a lot of us can relate to. Sometimes in our coursework, there's things that you really question the purpose of, right? And no one really tells you why you're doing that. No matter how much you ask and plead, you just can't get the answers. And sometimes I, as a person, cannot sit down and say, okay, I'm going to be dedicating this amount of time to studying this thing that I don't know why I'm studying for, right? In cases like that, I generally don't care. I will consult ChatGPT to help me with that because I know myself. I know the type of person I am. I won't sit there and lie to myself and say I'm going to lock in on this thing that I don't really care about. No one's told me why I need to care about it, you know? So really understand what matters to you. And if it's something that matters, don't cheat yourself, right? There's some courses where I really don't care. Well, not this year. I kind of like my courses this year, but the first 2 years of my schooling, there was a lot of things that I didn't really see the need, not the need, but I didn't see how it really appealed to me personally. Like I didn't find uh, purpose or a sense of joy from them. So those were cases where I was heavily reliant on ChatGPT to help me through things, and YouTube as well, just to help me through things. Not necessarily to give me answers for all the assignments and all that stuff, but just make it easier for me to understand things. Because at the end of the day, I don't really see myself latching onto this knowledge for a
Okay,
long
because you don't
time.
really like it, so you don't understand
Exactly. So
it.
just make it as easy for me to understand this thing and get out of my head as soon as possible because I know I won't be using this. But in cases like maybe an introduction to algorithms class where you need to understand how these things work, what's an array, stuff like that. That's very fundamental things that will build on top of each other. So It's really a thing of understanding what you're learning and the purpose of it. And once you get that, then you know what to take seriously and what to not take seriously. And yeah, just be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, I think is what I'm saying.
But how does this whole like ChatGPT vibe coding in varsity, how does this affect us like in our market, especially with entry level jobs, you know, like when we are doing interviews and then as young developers, like what's the effect that all this has on our careers?
I think something that I've noticed, even with like JavaScript and C++, like like with let me go to C++, because like with C++, there's a way you can output data, like the command line actually, like I mean
Hello, this nerd.
the oh my days, there's like different ways you can output data, right? Like with the line of code, like what you type out there, and you don't want to be in a position where you've been vibe coding your whole life, right? And when you go to an interview, they ask you, so what does this line do? And you don't know.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is that there's multiple ways that you could have outputted that, but because ChatGPT gave you that way, and maybe they're going through like a code of yours, and they ask you, please explain that, you'll be lost. Or something like Kamu said earlier, the logic. Vibe coding won't explain the logic to you. That makes sense because you just coding on a high. So it's probably a thing of like they'll ask you, okay, so take us through this logic. Now you see multiple if statements. You don't even know what those if statements are doing now at that point. And then they'll ask you, so do you think it's necessary for that if statement to be there? Or explain why you put that if statement. Checking your
Yeah.
understanding. So I feel like it's just robbing. It's genuinely like robbing people. But like I said, it doesn't mean you can't use it. It's how you use it.
I think maybe to play devil's advocate, because I've seen a lot of people um who speak for vibe coding, like this is amazing, this is the future, vibe coding is the way forward, right? And what they say is that it's like kind of democratizing coding, like it's making coding a lot more accessible to, I don't want to say the layman because that's a bit offensive, but it's accessible to everyone now. Everyone can essentially make an app. Everyone can essentially, like you said, I'm sure the guy who made that vibe coding SaaS wasn't really a technically inclined person, but they still did something that made some cash, right? So it's like making it easier for a person who doesn't know how to code to get started. That's what people are saying. And I find truth in that. There's truth in that. A lot of people said this about ChatGPT when it first came out, like, oh, it's making things easier for people. But like you said, it's a tool and all tools can be abused, right? So that's where discipline comes into play. But generally, overall, I'm a proponent of vibe coding. I think it's good if you know what you're using it for.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like go there and say, okay, I'm gonna build a production ready app and I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
let the vibes handle it. You have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, this is the starting point. Now it gave me a structure. Let me now dig deep and understand what's what's going on in each separate section. So like at the end of the day, don't rob yourself of learning, but you use it to start if you don't know what's happening, and then as it's doing scaffolding the code for you, dig deeper into sections that don't make sense. I think that's the best way to go about this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually agree with that. I actually agree with that. And as much as as much as people are now even using AI, and as much as like vibe coding is here, I think something that we should also focus on is the possibilities that vibe coding can actually bring. As
My
much
mom can code now. My mom can make an app. That's
yeah,
cool.
your mom can. You see, and I think it's from I'm speaking about this from like an innovation point of view, because I'm trying to also like relate back to like the report here. A lot of people are saying that AI is actually they actually see a lot of progress from AI in terms of innovation, right? Not necessarily coding just in J, but like from innovation, like a lot of things can actually come out from this. So maybe, like I said, it depends on how you use it. But for example, let's say you just in the bus, I don't know, you're catching the Wits bus, you have your MacBook, because it's small and tiny, and then you're like, you know what? There's traffic. I'm gonna get to Res like in the next 20-25 minutes. I've been thinking about this idea for a long time. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
Maybe it can be used as a brainstorming tool.
That's how I use it. Yeah.
Maybe it can. I think that's the word I was looking for. Maybe it can be used as a brainstorming tool. But
It's not the final
just
product.
yeah, it can't be the final product.
Yeah.
Can't be the final product. And if people are thinking that they can use vibe coding, I mean, someone I believe that there's someone out there who's busy using vibe coding as a way to make money by just making basic stuff, which actually work. But I feel like long term, you are actually putting yourself at multiple risk, which is security risk, handling people's data. Because even with the, like I said, we're going to put the link for the for the tweet so it doesn't feel like we're just talking out of the air.
Yeah.
But it's a thing of, even from that, like, you messing with people's data, and you don't want vibe coding, and your knowledge, your little knowledge, yeah, lack of knowledge, to actually hinder you, your career, or your business, and all of that, because it's just not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
So maybe from a brainstorming point of view, vibe coding, a-okay. Also, like, using it as a way just to like you said, helping you with tasks, just playing around, learning something new. You never know, maybe you can learn something new from vibe coding, you know. But solely depending on it, nah. Students are going to be hindering themselves of a lot of things. Like you said, robbing of certain skills. Like he also said, it's going to be a thing of, you won't know how to deal with certain problems. And now something that we're finding very much often is that a lot of problems that are now coming up, they're no longer technical, if that makes sense. They're now people's problems, if that makes sense. And that's something that even like my mentor from Capitec says. She says that, like, the bank is now moving in a direction of serving the people. Like, you're dealing with people, no longer like technical issues, but like what you can solve from like a people's perspective. Something that was even said here at Offenzan was that, like, it's somewhere here. It says that as much as we're like all happy about the innovation and all of that, and as much as AI is helping us with coding, we can now actually refocus our energy on solving people problems, you know. So yeah, I just feel like, is coding going to stay for a long time? I'm not so sure, because like I said, everybody's going to stop being on that high. You know, they're going to, like, a high always ends. There's a point where it always ends, and maybe people are now going to start realizing through like personal experiences, like, okay, at an interview they asked me that question. I did see that line of code, but I didn't properly explain like my structure of coding and stuff. So maybe I should stop being AI reliant from that point of view, and maybe just lock in on knowing the foundations, but still using AI, if that makes sense. But I just feel like it won't stay for a long period of time, personally.
I mean, the way I see it, it's kind of similar to there was this whole no code revolution, no code, low code, where people, built these tools that allow people to create websites and apps without really knowing how to code. Yeah, like Flutterflow, what's the web app one? The web website of Webflow, right? Yeah, you got your Flutterflows, your Webflows, your Bubble.io. So a lot of people were speaking about these as like the second coming of of like this coding revolution or something, right? But where is that now? People don't really talk about the tools are still there. People are still using them, but it's not as prevalent as it was back then. And that's because, again, with such tools, you're hindered by not knowing the lower aspects of what's happening within the program. Like you don't have like fine control of each aspect of your program. It's like a template that you have to use or something like that. Same thing with vibe coding, even though vibe coding gives you access to the code itself. If you don't understand it, what's the point of having the code there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, there will be a time when you're building something and you want to change this little thing,
But you don't even know.
but if you don't know how to, or in the case of no code, you don't have access to it at all, what's the point, right? It's very important to understand what's happening and to also be able to go back, refine things and change them, right? Unless your goal is to build something simple, then that's okay. But if you really want to get serious and do something serious, you need to be serious about how you approach that problem. And vibe coding is not being serious. It's just a rough draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like with those web apps and stuff like that that help you with low code, no code, they mainly focus on like the UI, the front part of everything. And you, as like, the first thing that's gonna come to your mind is, oh wow, it looks nice, it looks good, like this is my selling point. But when we test that, like we unit test things and stuff like that, it's not gonna end well for anybody. I feel like that's why even companies do not really use such things, when they're building their apps.
And literally, like on that note, you literally just said it. It's just the front end those platforms use. But when it comes to back end, and I also had that experience during the holiday.
Use
where,
Bubble, right?
Yeah, where I use Bubble. Oh my days! I even called Gamu, and like
Very frustrating.
there was a time like we literally spent time and like tried debugging, like, bro, how can we make the back end work? And it's so weird because you can't even like work with other database platforms as well.
Yeah.
Because most of those ones, they just give you a database to just play
You
on.
have no control.
You have no
choice.
control.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see? So I think that I don't know what you guys think about vibe coding. And just to circle back on a point, just to like make a point clear, because I feel like I didn't make a point clear, is that as much as people are now using AI to automate their work processes and stuff, now we can now focus on the ability to understand business problems. That's what I was trying to say.
It's that thing of the bicycle quote I gave last time. I was like, computers are, maybe I should give context on. So
Yeah.
humans are very inefficient at using energy to move around. There was some research done, and we're like one of the most inefficient animals to move from point A to point B. A bird just soars and it uses this minimal energy to move. A fish, same thing. But humans, when we walk, we use a lot of energy to travel the same distance that a bird needed, but use less energy, right? But now give that human a bicycle and we become the most efficient animal at getting from point A to point B. So people are saying computers are bicycles of the mind, right?
Yeah.
They free us up to get from point A to point B faster. And now AI is that next stage. Maybe it's like it's a motorbike or a car or something. We're just getting there. We're more efficient at covering distance. And again, like you said, that frees us up to now think about higher problems. Because back in the day, it was someone's job. They were literally, people were called computers. Their job was to crunch numbers,
Yeah.
right? And now we don't do that anymore. People are now more free to, well, some people aren't, unfortunately, but generally people are more free to do more creative things because of the advent of computers. And I think AI is just that next phase, right? Obviously, some jobs will go away. The hope is that there's more creation than destruction, but at the end of the day, you can't like stop innovation, right?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like jobs,
Yeah.
maybe it's sort of like probably like a good example to use is like the whole bank tellers thing.
Yeah.
When technology came into play, you stop seeing bank tellers. I remember like going with my mom and my grandmother to Standard Bank there. You go to a lady, fill up a form there. Now you can do everything on your phone, but you still need people to actually update those systems that actually came into place now. So maybe something that I'm sort of like resonating from what you're saying is adaptation.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
adapting to what's currently going on.
True.
And in order for you to even be able to adapt, you need to be well informed as
Well
well.
informed, yes.
You know? So I just think, I don't know, like, what's your take? I think I already said my take on like the vibe coding thing. I don't know.
Fan.
You're not a fan.
Are you a fan? I'm not saying.
Am I a fan? Yeah, I haven't like, okay, maybe with assignments, but I haven't
I
like
was about to say he's lying.
but I haven't like properly dived into like, okay, let me make a to-do list like the way you did it with your voice.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I don't think it's gonna be here for a pretty long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
All right. Really?
I don't know, hey, like when it comes to vibe coding, I feel like, as you said, like it has its pros and cons, and the way I'm seeing it now, currently with our industry, obviously, which is varsity people and students, it's affecting us more than it's benefiting us, you know. And I'd love to say that, yeah, but like, us vibe coding and stuff like that, it just makes us cram like, what is a linked list? And then I use it for that specific time, then I'm done. The next time I actually want to create like something that needs a linked list, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and then I'm going to use whatever knowledge that ChatGPT has there, and then I forget about it after that. There's no retention of information. Like I don't keep it in me. It's just flowing in and out of my brain, which is not okay. Again, as I'm gonna say, there's no sense of originality. There is creativity, but your creativity is now limited. If I can say, like, yes, you can be creative about a business idea, but now you're giving something or someone to be, like some people are now putting it there. Like, okay, make it more creative, make it more like,
Make it more creative.
yeah, like give me something more unique, like you know, in terms of your ideas and stuff like that. So
Make it sound so formal.
yo, like I don't know, with vibe coding, like
Do you think so? You think it won't be here for a long time?
I don't think it's gonna be here for a long time. I feel like
It's just
also
a trend.
in the work industry, they're gonna refine, you know, their requirements so that you know they phase that thing off.
I don't think a company would want
But
to just-
ChatGPT ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's for real. That's for real. But basically, what I'm saying is that we're just going to have to see what's going to happen from here.
True. Like I just like want everyone to think about it. Like, what do you think of vibe coding? You know, do you think it's the thing? You know, it's something that you want to hold on to until you get that job, or do you just want to chop it off and just be more original and like you know, actually do something better and be unique? You know, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, the way you phrased it, I think there's only one correct answer there, okay? But all right. I think we're good.
Okay, guys, so we've got like two funny but sort of deep questions for y'all to answer the topic. So the first one is, if AI replaces coding, what is your backup career? Ooh.
Now, I've always wanted to dance.
Singing is not that bad, you know.
I don't know actually. Do you guys have a backup?
I had a backup before this coding.
You wanted to be a doctor?
I wanted to be a doctor, bro. I wanted to be an oncologist personally, bro.
I don't know. Like, okay, marketing. I'd probably do marketing
Yeah,
because
I
I'm a
see,
good
I see.
graphic designer. So
I actually see that. I actually see that.
Okay, so marketer, doctor, dancer.
Dancer. I was gonna say something, but it's
Oh my god.
Magic Mike.
A bit of everything, honestly.
Must
In high school, actually, I danced to Taylor Swift's "Shake It Off" with a friend on stage.
no, you
I
didn't.
did.
Actually, do you have a video?
I will not.
Do you have a video? Bro, guys, comment below if you wanna see the video. Comment below if you wanna see the video.
Okay,
Next
okay.
segment, we're gonna put it there. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Next question is, what's your go-to excuse when your code is not working? No, guys.
It wasn't
it's
my
not.
computer.
that's what I thought about.
It
My
wasn't
laptop, it needs to reboot.
It is to reboot.
It's not me, it's the system, it's the environment.
Bruh, like you literally also said it. It works on my laptop.
Yeah, I don't know about them, but it worked on mine.
Yeah, like it works on mine, bro. It works on mine. You know, like I don't know. Maybe your laptop has like there's an extension missing.
Can I send you like my code?
Can I send you?
Try it on yours.
Yeah, try it on yours. Then you send it via email. You know,
I've used that line many times.
bro. Hackathons. Yo. Okay, but yeah.
You even try restarting your laptop, like you act like
But
it's
the thing is,
serious.
and the thing is that you know that it's floppy, but you just don't want to look like a man.
Oh my god.
That's the
And
thing.
and like it does that at the worst of times. Like why?
That's the problem. Or maybe another thing can be like ish or damn, maybe I forgot something tiny, you know, like maybe it's probably a semicolon. It's probably a semicolon. And then you even find that language doesn't use a semicolon, but fair.
Yeah.
Is that all? Alright, calm. So we're closing out, right? So yeah, guys, this is our that's probably something that you guys are going to be seeing often. The hosts are actually going to be blindsided by all of this so that you guys can actually get answers straight from the dome without us thinking about it.
Yeah, so like thank you guys for tuning in. You will see us on the next episode. Bigger, better, faster, more efficient.
That's true.
You know. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Alright, cool. Anyways, guys, that's a wrap. Down.